Daniel stood at the edge of the village, gazing at the dark clouds rolling in from the horizon. The wind howled through the trees, bending them as if in fear of the coming storm. His heart pounded. He had seen storms before, but this one felt different. It felt personal. His father, Samuel, placed a strong hand on his shoulder. "The Lord is our refuge, Daniel. He has always been." Daniel nodded, but inside, his faith wavered. They had prayed, yet the storm was coming anyway. If God was their refuge, why did destruction loom so near? The sky darkened, turning the late afternoon into near night. The villagers hurried, securing their homes and helping the elderly seek shelter. The little church on the hill stood firm, its bells swaying wildly in the wind. It was the same church where Daniel had spent countless Sundays listening to Pastor James preach about faith. Faith that could move mountains, faith that could calm storms. But what if faith wasn't enough this time? Thunder roared overhead, shaking the very ground beneath them. Daniel ran inside their home, where his mother and younger sister, Ruth, huddled together. The wooden beams creaked, as if whispering their own prayers. "Daniel," Ruth whispered, clutching her ragged doll, "will we be okay?" He wanted to say yes. He wanted to reassure her with the confidence of his father. But instead, he turned to his mother. She met his gaze with unwavering peace. "The Lord is with us," she said simply, "no matter what happens." Then came the first wave. The wind slammed against the house, rattling the shutters. Rain pounded the roof like 1,000 desperate hands. The candle flickered, casting trembling shadows along the walls. Daniel clenched his fists. If God was with him, why did it feel like they were being abandoned? A loud crack split the air, a tree crashing nearby. His father ran to reinforce the door, and his mother led them in prayer. But Daniel's mind swirled. Was prayer enough? Would faith keep the roof from caving in? The wind screamed. The walls trembled. Then, suddenly, the door burst open. A stranger stumbled in, soaked and shivering. He was an old man, his beard white as snow, his eyes filled with exhaustion. Samuel rushed to his side, helping him to a chair. "Who are you?" Daniel asked, voice barely audible over the storm. The man looked at him, his gaze piercing. "A traveler," he said, "but tonight I needed shelter, and the Lord led me here." Daniel's mother wrapped a blanket around him, offering warm tea. But Daniel could not shake the feeling that there was something different about this man. The storm raged on, relentless. The house groaned under the weight of the wind. It felt as if at any moment it would collapse. The old man turned to Daniel. "Do you believe?" The question struck him. Daniel had grown up in faith, had memorized scripture, had sung the hymns. But did he truly believe? When fear gripped his heart, when doubts whispered louder than the wind, when everything around him seemed to fall apart, did he still believe? Daniel hesitated. "I don't know." The man nodded, as if he understood. Faith is not about seeing. It is about trusting, even in the storm. Daniel swallowed. "But what if the storm takes everything?" The old man smiled. "Then you will see that God is still enough." A powerful gust shook the house, and for a moment, Daniel thought they would not survive. But as he looked at the old man, something changed. Peace settled over his heart, a peace that made no sense in the midst of the chaos. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the storm passed. The wind calmed, the rain softened, the house still stood. Daniel exhaled, realizing he had been holding his breath. He turned to thank the old man, but he was gone. The chair was empty, the blanket untouched. His mother placed a hand on her heart, eyes wide. An angel. Daniel looked outside at the broken trees, the damaged homes. But in the midst of it all, the church on the hill still stood, its bell gently swaying in the breeze. Faith was not about the absence of storms. It was about standing firm within them. Daniel knelt beside his sister, taking her hand. "We will be okay," he said, and this time, he believed it.